Ronnie Brooks looked at the lipstick message on his bedroom mirror, "Goodbye, baby." The end had come with no warning. He thought they had a good thing going. Guess things weren't as good as he thought. Sarah and he were childhood sweethearts. They met in 4th grade and had been friends or boyfriend and girlfriend till they married at 21. 7 years later she was gone like the wind. No fights, no arguments. No clue that she was ready to move on. At least she hadn't cleaned out the house when she left. The only things missing were her clothes and a few CDs. He called the bank and checked the account balances in the household checking and joint saving accounts. The checking account was short the amount of her check. Half the joint savings were gone. He quickly moved all the remaining money into his account and changed the PIN number on the computer access. He then checked the credit cards. The zero balance in the joint account was unchanged, but hers showed several cash advances over the last several days. Ronnie called and canceled the joint account. He looked around the house again for a note. After a thorough search, still no note. But he found charge slips in her closet from a high-end lingerie shop from last week. It wasn't her account either. The name was George Acree, one of her co-workers. He was married with young children. Same old sad story. 9 months later, Ronnie Brooks sat at his desk in his home office working on a proposal for a new project. Leaning back in his desk chair, he thought about the night he found that message on his mirror. Sarah had sent him an email the next day full of excuses for her behavior and why it was all his fault. He was more interested in his job than she, he wasn't romantic enough, and he was lousy in bed. She had written. Plus he had let himself get out of shape and wasn't appealing to her anymore. She also wanted half the equity in the house and almost all of the furniture. She also wanted him to pay for the divorce because it was all his fault. Ronnie reread the letter several times, and being in possession of an analytical mind, he studied each part. In all honesty, he was very interested in his job. His current project had a large payoff, a big bonus and a promotion. Then they would be able to remodel the house the way they wanted, and Sarah could quit work and have the baby that he had thought they both wanted. Ronnie had tried to be romantic, but Sarah had laughed about it. She had said they had been together too long for all that mushy stuff. As far as being a lousy lover, they had both been virgins the first time. Sarah had been unwilling to try new things. He had been out of shape. But if she had taken time to notice, he had lost 30 pounds and was working out at the gym 3 times a week. But she had been working late and out with her friends most of the nights he was not traveling and at home. She was preoccupied most of the time. He had decided that night that she wasn't getting anything that the court didn't force him to give up. With the note from her admitting her adultery and the fact that she had stolen another woman's husband and their children's father, the court gave her next to nothing. Boy, was she pissed off. She called him up, raising hell and calling him all kind of names. He had never realized what a bitch she had become. When the truth came out in court, her family, who Ronnie had always gotten along with, had disowned her. Her mother called her a cheap slut. Her sister, Pam, was livid. The man Sarah had stolen was her sister's best friend's husband. They had 3 children and a 4th on the way. The husband, George Acree, had soon begged forgiveness and returned home to his family. It came out that Sarah had done most of the seducing. Her excuse was she wanted something new and different. Sarah had different now. Now her husband, family, and most of her friends gone. That's what being a selfish bitch will do for you. The doorbell rang, halting his trip into the past. Opening the front, he couldn't believe who was there. Speaking of the devil, and she in this case, shows up. "What do you want?" he asked. Looking at the floor, she said, "I wonder if we can talk," she said in a quiet voice. "Not to be ugly, but I don't see what we have to talk about. You did what you wanted. You played and now you're paying the price," he said. With tears in her eyes, she finally met his gaze. "I know you hate me and you have every right to. What I did to you, my family and to George's family is unforgivable. Mother was right, I was acting like a cheap slut. I have no excuse. None. You were a good husband, the very best. All my girlfriends were jealous. But I wasn't satisfied. I wanted different. Different I got, in spades. I wanted to say how sorry I was about what I did and how I acted. I hope someday you'll at least stop hating me. I understand it's too little, too late. But I really do love you. I just took you and your love for granted," she said as she turned to leave. Damn it. He never could stand to see her cry. It started when she fell off the monkey bars in 4th grade. It killed him to see her cry. "Sarah, come on in. I'll get you a glass of iced tea," he said. Smiling a teary smile, she walked into the great room. "Have a seat while I get us some tea," Ronnie said, pointing to the sofa as he walked to the kitchen side of the open great room. Sarah was surprised by all the changes. What had been a series of small dark rooms with an 8-foot ceiling were now one large open space with a fireplace, cathedral ceilings, and a new modern designer kitchen and large open windows and French doors looking out on a large deck with a covered pool. "The house looks wonderful, Ronnie," she gasped. "I love this room." He looked at her with sad eyes. "You should. Except for a few small change and additions, this is pretty much the design we agreed on before you turned into someone I didn't know." Tears came to her eyes again. But she straightened her shoulders and dried her eyes. "You're right. I was someone not even I recognized. I let my selfishness take control. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd and let them do my thinking for me. George fell into the same trap. But he was smart enough to realize he screwed up and saved his family. I wasn't that smart. I followed the group like a good little sheep till I fell over the cliff. Too late to turn back and try to fix things." She sighed. "But I'm doing better. I got a new job, went back to church and made new friends." She looked her ex-husband in the eye. "But I need to apologize to those I wronged and ask their forgiveness. My minister said that maybe after I'd done that I can forgive myself. So I'm here to ask you to forgive me. I know it's too late for us, but if I know you don't hate me, maybe I can move on," she asked. She sighed again. "I've talked to Mom and Pam. It wasn't pleasant. But I think they believed what I said. I know it'll take a while for them to trust me again. But I'm in for the long haul." Pam talked to Ellen, George's wife. It took a while, but she finally agreed to see me. She let all her hurt and anger out. When she finished, I told her what I told you and my family. In the end, she said she couldn't forgive me, but that was her failing. But she didn't hate me anymore. It was more than I expected. I hope someday you'll be able to forgive me for throwing your love away, for treating you so badly, and being a bitch in general. I know it's a lot to ask, but I need to at least make an effort to try to make you see that I am truly sorry for what I've done." She looked down at her lap and the tears began to flow. Soon she was shaking from the sobs that racked her body. Ronnie walked to the sofa and sat down beside her, pulling her into his arms and holding her close. "I don't hate you. I never have. I hated the things you've done and the way you've acted. I never could hate you. I have too many memories of the good times we spent together, all the love we shared. He said, "But you're right. It will be a long time till I could trust you again. I believe you're sorry for what you did. But I'm not sure that your motives are as pure as you are trying to make them out to be," he stated. "You may be sorry that you got caught, and the price you are having to pay. Maybe you're sorry that your family and friends have turned their back on you because of your actions." Sarah pulled away from her ex-USOB. She shouted, "How dare you talk to me like that? I come here to apologize to you and you accuse me of being self-serving." She glared at him. "You don't realize how much it galls me to have to crawl on bended knee and apologize to all these people, knowing I have to degrade myself to get back in their good graces. Having to take all the blame, when Pam wasn't woman enough to keep her man. She spent all her time homemaking and having children, not taking care of her man in bed. What a simple cow she was and still is. I could have George any time I want with one phone call," she snorted. "Of course I don't want him anyway. He was as lousy in bed as you. But he did give good gifts," she laughed. "And you're pitiful. I screwed around on you from the beginning. Even in high school. Your old friend Don Adamson took my cherry in the football dressing room while you were out playing. My brother-in-law James fucked me right before the wedding in the bride's dressing room. He's been fucking me twice a month since. My fat ugly sister never has figured it out," she giggled. "You're all a bunch of fools. Especially my Bible-thumping mother. I hate her guts. But I do need her money. And when she finally drops dead I can get my share of the inheritance," she smirked. She picked up her purse and she reached the door. "Of course, if you tell them I'll deny it. Say that you're trying to get even with me for leaving you. Bye, chump." As she went through the door, Ronnie spoke up. "I forgot to tell you one feature of the remodeling. I hold a lot of meetings here, and to make sure that there are no misunderstandings about who said what, I installed an automatic video camera system. I starts when someone enters the house and stays on unless I shut it off." He smiled. "I didn't shut it off." "Smile. You're on candid camera," he laughed as he closed the door. "Who the hell understands this better? What would have done better? Comment down below in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so that we stay motivated. Go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.